Hello there, YouTube. Today, I'm going to be customizing a EAR-10. I know a lot of you have been asking me to do a customization tutorial, and I'm going to be doing that. So let's get right into this tutorial. And before we begin, this goes without saying, I'm not liable for if you break your EAR-10 or any other radios if you use this tutorial to kind of guide you through the process of customizing any other radios. Do this at your own risk. I've broken a few of my radios already. Just be extra careful while doing this. To begin with a list of items you'll need some LEDs. They can be any color you like, a soldering iron, some solder, a screwdriver that can fit the holes, and a small screwdriver too. Alright, so here's the radio. It's in pretty nice condition, and it's an older one given the older style brick. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a blue backlight in this. The EAR-10 is probably one of the most easiest radios to customize because everything is on this front panel. And all you have to do is just take this front panel off. So you're going to want to start by taking a nice long screwdriver and undoing these screws. 99.999% of the time, your EAR-10 is gonna never have been opened, and you're gonna have to either have a really good screwdriver, or you're gonna have to do this little trick that I do, which is you put it in, you give it a little twist to the right, that breaks the seal, and then you start twisting to the left, and you just wanna get all of your screws out. Well, not all. I misspoke. You're going to want to take out the screws that hold on the front panel only. Do not take out the screws on the bottom here. This screw is for the antenna. Do not undo this one. Alright, once you get all of your screws out, you're going to want to grab the front plate and the back and just gently pry it from the body, and it'll crack open like an egg. Be careful with these ribbon cables. Do not let these break. They're very good quality, so I don't think they would break. However, you just want to be really careful with them, because if they do, you're done. Like, your radio's screwed. So after you get the front plate off, you're going to want to put it down like this. Then take your screwdriver and undo these 4 screws right here that hold the main motherboard onto the front panel. Once you get all those 4 little screws out, you're going to want to gently lift up, and there you go. There's the front of your EAR-10, and to access the front light LEDs, you're going to want to take this black cover off here. You're going to want to just gently take it off, and there are your orange LEDs right there. So now what you're going to want to do is take your soldering iron to these soldering points right here. These are for the LED lights on the front, and you're going to want to gently get this solder hot enough so that you can take the light out. And heavy caution that you don't rip the LED lights out and that you don't burn yourself. I've burned myself countless times just getting the solder hot enough just to take out the LED, and it hurts. So be very careful when you're doing this. Alright, now you're going to want to take the LED lights that you have and select the appropriate LEDs. And then go ahead and take these lights and take a little flathead screwdriver and gently lift up on the LED so it sticks straight up. It'll make it a lot easier to remove. Another thing you're going to want to do is put the backlight on. That way it stays on all the time and you have to keep hitting the buttons. Now you're going to want to grab the light with your fingers. Be very careful, very, very careful, and take your soldering iron once it's heated up enough and just heat up the solder. And gently tug against the light with your fingers, and there you go. There is LED number 1. And then do the same thing with the other. LED number 2. And put those to the side. Now, you're going to want to test your new LED lights by touching them to the contacts and making sure that they glow. There's LED 1. And LED 2. And the long leg of these LEDs indicates the positive side. So when you're testing it, you're going to want to flip it around to see which way it works. Now this part gets a bit tricky. You're going to want to hold onto the LED in the right orientation and put it up to the holes where the old light was. And you're going to want to hold them there in place. And then while you're holding them, take your soldering iron and heat up the solder. And then if you're putting enough pressure on it, on the light, the prong should go through. And again, you're going to want to make sure that the legs of the light are in the right hole. And then once you have it through, take your soldering iron and make sure that the legs are covered in enough solder. Don't be afraid to take some extra solder and just gently, ever so gently, put it on the lead. Now, one thing that's super important is that you do not cross the leads. You don't want to short out the light, and chances are you won't, but you're going to want to make sure that the solder stays apart, because if they touch, the light will go out. As you can see, it's flickering there. So you're going to want to do the same thing with both the other light. And there you go. You have the blue light. Once you have your blue lights all good, you can have it on normal. And then you're going to want to take something to help you bend it down into the hole where the light was. And you're going to want to be careful not to break the light or put pressure on the leads where you just soldered. Because if you put too much pressure, these will come off and then your backlight is screwed. So just gently, ever so gently bend them out and down, not directly down. And then, once you have your lights bent down into the slot, you take your black cover and put it back on. And it is that simple. There is your blue light EAR-10, or whatever other light color you choose. And then, just follow the process of putting it back together. So you put it down into there. make sure everything lines up. And also make sure you don't touch the screen, get fingerprints. It's okay if you do, just clean it gently. Also clean in here as well. So then you're gonna wanna take it, line it up with the pegs. There we go. Then take your screwdriver and take your screws and screw the front plate down. Once you have the main motherboard screwed back onto the front, you're going to want to flip it over and make sure that everything is still working. Make sure your dim switch works and make sure there's no light leakage here, especially right here, especially if you have a white version. If you didn't put that black panel on correctly, there will be lots of light coming from this area where the lights are and it will look ugly. So with the black version, you don't really have to worry about it because it blocks out a lot of the light leakage. So then once you're done with that, you just put the front back on, take your screws, put them back where they belong, and there you go, all done. There is your custom backlight EAR-10. I hope this tutorial was easy enough for you guys to follow, and I hope you guys have fun customizing your radios. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like the content, and let me know in the comments if there's any modifications you think I should do or should try out, and I'll give it a shot. Again, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a fun time customizing your radios.